All right, the final element that we're going to cover today that prospective growers need to understand is grape variety selection and marketing. And joining me for this last segment is the amazing, the delightful Katy Jane Seaton of Farmhouse Vineyards in Meadow, Texas. And as they pronounce there, Meta, Texas, right, Katy Jane?
Yeah.
Meta.
Hi, Brent.
Meta. Good. How you doing?
I am really good.
Good to have you here. And
I'm a little tired.
You're a little tired. No, you look, I mean, I wish this is a video podcast, people could see how wonderful and prepared you are. But in addition to being one of the founders and owners of the expansive and highly successful Farmhouse Vineyards, Katy Jane has a degree in ag economics and marketing and has spent over 20 years in the wine marketing business. So Katy Jane, if you'll allow me, let me give a little bit of backdrop before we jump into my questions for you today, okay? First of all, if you're going to plant a vineyard, you need to make a plan for making money from your crop, right? And so there's a couple ways you can do that. Are you going to just grow grapes and then sell your crop to other wineries? Are you going to start a vineyard and a winery and make your own wine, or at least eventually? Or are you going to go somewhere in the middle where you plan to contract with a winery that's going to make a custom wine brand for your vineyard? That's sort of a stepping stone into becoming your own winery. And I really can't stress enough, you need to know what your end game is before you plant, because what you want to do with your grapes will impact not only the varieties you plant, it's also going to factor into your site selection and definitely factors into how you calculate and measure your vineyard economics. So this is a really big topic because there are a lot of variables to variety selection and marketing, depending on whether you plan to make your own wine versus selling. And that's probably a whole podcast episode that we should do in the future, right, Katy Jane?
You just named like five podcasts.
If this is a wine marketing podcast, you could do a whole podcast itself on wine marketing. But I would just say that one of the biggest misses I see with new vineyards is around variety selection, especially if you're planning to sell your crop. You can't just go out and choose a variety that you love to drink the wine from, for example. So if you're planning to sell your crop, it's really important that you select varieties that are suitable for your vineyard site. They need to consistently yield year in and year out. They need to also, it'd be nice, right? Make high quality wine. And they need to have a high market demand, meaning the market is not already oversaturated with that variety. And this variety you're going to grow is selling hopefully the highest price point that you can get for your market. So Katy Jane, with that as the introduction, at Farmhouse Vineyard, your team both sells grapes and you make award-winning boutique farmhouse vintages as well. Was this dual focus always the plan when you started 10 years ago? Or I think you had about 20 acres when you first started. Or did this plan evolve over time as you expanded your vineyard acreage?
This was not the original plan. They planted in 2010, originally a 20-acre planting. I married in 2013. So
married in. I love how you say it.
Yes. My wine marketing background came from, I've always been an executive director for originally a winery association and the number 2 wine destination in the nation in the Hill Country for 7 years. And so I knew who my lovely family was that I was marrying into. Then they planted in 10 and in 12. I arrived in 13 and brought with me a revamp of the client list, if you will. We ended up making our wine after a winery walked the contract, changed their mind at the last minute. I was lamenting about that as my husband and I were driving down the road, and he said, "Well, why don't we make a wine? If you think wine should look like this and taste like this and serve this market that you think is missing, why don't we do it?" And I adamantly did not want to be in the wine business. I personally, and my family hears me say this all the time, I think the wine business ruins your life. Whether it takes 2 years, 20 years, or 200, I can point to, ultimate demise for a lot of people.
So my question is, did your variety selection strategy change for that second and third site? And how was this related to the marketability, both for selling your fruit and then knowing that you were going into winemaking?
It did. And I would say kind of twofold. So the plantings that happened later, our original vineyard is mixed, right? So it's both red and white on the same block. Later afterwards, you realize with ripening and as our climate continues to change, and growing seasons last longer, things of that nature, we begin to split the blocks in like an east and west planting. And essentially we were reds obviously sell for more. We put them together so that we're, the first vineyard is laid out in these very nice 5-acre blocks that change at the irrigation, so it's easy to see. You automatically know where. You have ideas as a new grower. You think, exactly. I love it when new growers walk up and they say, well, we are going to plant this and this and this. And you smile, when are you going to do that? And they have an anniversary year. They're going to do it on this date when they retire and all these things. And my first thing that I love to say is, have you called your nursery yet? But those things even available in this year. So a lot of that, those outside factors, you need to take into consideration. But then it becomes weighted like that. What is the trend? A, what grows well for your site? B, is it available with the nursery? And is it the nursery that you like to work with? Is it the nursery that has a stellar reputation, that is certified clean, that has proven themselves in your area? Are they going to deliver? The growers that you respect around you, have they had success with those guys? And after they sell you those vines, are they still going to show up and do health checks? Are they going to send specialists out if there is something not proving well? If someone is a grower and they can't afford a viticulturist full time, if that's not part of their team structure, then is your nursery going to send replacement vines, right? If something doesn't take, all those things. So then the block or the site itself becomes weighted in. All right, we're going to spend this much on a new something niche that's going to make a name for us. And then we know Ubed does well here. We know Tempranillo does well here, and then these are the smaller things people are asking. We're going to go 20, 20, 20, 40%.
What would be your top advice for someone who is getting started as a prospective grower in terms of working as a wine marketer and marketing your own brand and being both a grower who sells grapes and markets their grapes to wineries and has long-term relationships, and then someone who's also marketing your own wine brands as well?
It's really the core principles of just what you like about any product you buy. It's look at what you like about the toothpaste you buy. Look at what you like about the olive oil that you use, the music that you listen to, the brands that have been consistently in your life from the time that you were 20 years old. What do you still use? And what are you loyal to in your life? What will you pay $10 extra for, $20 extra for when times are hard and lean? When what will you splurge on? What will you not give up? And then ask yourself, what is it about that brand that makes you so loyal to them? And those principles are the same across food, across fiber, across beverage, across services. And they are often the same core things. And it is truth telling. It is simple, right? If you look at the imagery, their logo, and understand, you're able to understand. If you cover up the imagery, the words tell you what they want from you or what they're selling you as a customer. If you cover up the word, the logo or the imagery says the same thing. Please don't name your vineyard something no one can understand. If your name is Harold Jones, please don't name your vineyard something half Spanish, half French, and half Italian to try and sound fancy. Respect the origin of your life and who you are, and just tell the truth, right? That drives me crazy. People get into the wine business and they think they need to sound highfalutin. We are the most heavily farmed, heavily regulated in product that there ever is. Trying to sound
Wine, yeah.
wine. It's just a farmed product. And then wine is heavily regulated. Alcohol, firearms, tobacco. Keep it simple. Just keep it simple. And tell the truth. Keep it simple. Keep it clean. I mean, you look at Arm & Hammer, you look at Nike, you look at the brands that are still around. its core principles, and then deliver it, keep
Yeah.
your products good.
So for example, for your wine club, Katy Jane, you have a few, what I would call maybe experimental varieties of grapes that aren't so popular in Texas. Just name one or two of those real quick, and we
Yes.
can get an idea where you're going.
Counoise. We were the first to plant Counoise in the state of Texas. We have 8 acres, so it's like the largest commercial planting. We brought it here. We were very inspired by Talbot's Creek. So, and then Malvasia Bianca on our white side. We have Charbonneau. She's having a rough start, so she's not there yet. But we're Claret Blanche, like that you mentioned. Yeah. We're famous.
You started
for blends. Our winemakers from Washington State as well. And our red blends are what people seem to really gravitate toward.
Awesome. Well, I personally, for the record, get farmhouse wines delivered to my doorstep in the wine club. And if you really want to see how Katy Jane is marketing right to your doorstep, this beautiful pamphlet comes with every delivery. There's little trinkets, like it could be wildflower seeds or peanut brittle from the peanut crop. Or one year I got peanut seeds to plant. So if you have kids and stuff, they have something to play with too. I just think your marketing is fantastic. That is the reason I wanted to have you on today, to share that with individuals. We will be sure to get you on again sometime. So Katy Jane, this is such a big topic. Hopefully in the future, we can have a whole episode to really dig into the selling and marketing of wine grapes with you.